How would you like to achieve your first million? And today we have Nate joining us from Texas, and he is the founder of the digital marketing agency. So, Nate, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to set the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Harry. I appreciate it.
Pleasure.
There's a lot we could talk about here, but I'll just go through the basic 5 steps that I would say is number one, a brand needs to get very clear on who they serve and how they help them get a result. So the ICP, as we call it, an ideal client profile. Step two, knowing that makes you come up with a really strong offer. If your offer isn't converting, it's not going to be valuable enough. So you have to have a strong offer to that person. And then number three, I think it's very important, especially now, for these brands to create content every single day around that problem that they solve, because that content speaks to them. Number four, they need to charge the right amount in their offer. I believe every brand should have some kind of high ticket offer with a lot of margin in it, because if you don't have profit margin in your business, you can't sustain your business and grow. And then number five, you need to have systems to replace yourself so that you can grow.
Very good. Fantastic, Nate. And that comes to my next question. What type of business are you really in? And this is a question that sometimes entrepreneurs they find difficult to answer, and it comes back with what you just point out. You're talking about you need to have a high ticket offer that give you good margin. And let's say, for example, right, you have a shoe store, in brick and mortar shoe store, and then well, you have your cost, you have your cost because you have to pay your staff, you have to pay the premises, you have to. So maybe this business is not giving you that much market margin. However, if you start to sell those shoes online and you start to teach maybe other people with shoe store how to make the shoe store better and how to increase. It comes to this what you just described, a high ticket um, product that can give a high margin, and you realize that actually you are not in the shoe store business anymore. You are in the teaching shoe stores owners how to make profitable shoe stores and how to have online product or how to digitalize the shoe store to increase the profit margin. So, Nate, um, this is how the world, this is how business it goes today. So, what is the biggest challenge that you have find someone owning traditional businesses to embrace this other stream of income or others things that they're leaving on the table they're not aware of, and actually with the business they already have, they can have even large profit margins around the things that they can add on top of their existing business. What are the challenges that you have communicating this effectively to entrepreneurs, and what can we do to help them? Are they really open?
Yeah, well, we tend to work with business opportunity, information products, digital products, coaching programs, that kind of a thing. But for someone that is doing a brick and mortar store or a retail business or an e-commerce business like that, definitely need to be online. If they're not online selling on
And don't
live
wait until
shows.
COVID comes. Don't wait until COVID comes to find out,
Right.
right?
Exactly. But I think for someone in that specific category, I think that they need to be building their personal brand, because if you are just like a lot of other shoe stores, if you're doing that, you're a commodity, right? But you have to set yourself apart, and you do that with content and making yourself valuable, because you're different. And so if the other thing I might say in terms of margin is you definitely want to sell higher ticket things. So don't just sell, cheap shoes, but sell the brand name luxury apparel, right? If you do that, you're going to have a little bit more margin because those brands are able to charge more because of the brand. And so focusing on your own brand is the same way. Does that make sense? And so that's,
100%.
yeah.
Because anyway, when you exit the business, what you sell a brand. So and it comes to the personal branding. I'm glad we touched on that, because before in the 80s, in the 90s, um it was no social media. Business were different back then. So you can have your corporate brand, and you can hide as a founder just behind that brand, and nobody um, knew who you were, and you could operate like that, and everything was fine, and big businesses was built that way, and nobody even knew who were the founders or who actually creating those businesses, right? However, um, it doesn't work in anymore. It's the other way around. Now you have that personal brand, and the more you increase your personal brand, the more your corporate brand grows, and you have, well, the richest person, one of the richest person in the world, Elon Musk. You have very strong personal brand. So when he say I'm gonna launch something, a lot of people already
Yeah.
throwing money, and people say, "Wow, that's amazing! How he do that?" What they um what they need to understand that he got a not only someone to create the personal brand, he has a distribution channel for it, which is the platform that he bought. Every time that I go to X, the first thing that I see is a post of him, of what he's doing, right? So, but then the entrepreneurs come and they tell you, well, you know what? I just want to sell my product. I don't want to be in video. I don't want to show my face in YouTube. I don't want to create that content. This is not my thing. I don't like it. So, what message do you have for those entrepreneurs that they are resisting to what you and I were doing today, which is talking about the businesses online, and somehow creating content? So, what message do you have for these entrepreneurs that they don't really want to be in the spotlight? They don't want to show their face. They don't want to. They're not interested whatsoever in building the personal brand. They want to keep it low. What message do you
Yeah.
have for them?
Well, that's a really good question, actually. And I think it's helpful to define what we mean by personal brand. I don't think that personal brand means becoming an influencer that's famous.
Mm-hmm.
That is a personal brand, yes, but it doesn't only mean that. A personal brand is what your network that you have is saying
Mm-hmm.
about you. It's
Mm-hmm.
what your network is saying about you.
100%.
So
You
like,
don't need to have a million followers or whatever.
yeah.
But
So 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 yeah, but from a content standpoint,
so how you
your
beat that?
content,
How you beat that net? How you manage that people say something about you? Somehow you have to create some kind of content, right? Even if it's once a month.
yeah.
Even
Well,
if it's once, I don't know, because otherwise, how you will generate what people think of you if you don't have any point of view about anything, because we cannot read it anywhere. So somehow have to create that person have to create some type of content in that way, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think there's different formats for content, right? There's video, there's um, text-based writing
And
format if
write
you're not wanting to show your
articles
face.
that
Yeah,
way.
you don't. There's the whole rise of faceless YouTube channels and faceless brands. If you can go broad that way and go a big grow a big audience. But I still think if you're selling a high ticket offer, especially, all that traffic has to come through
I
to
don't
have
think
a
the
person.
faceless is gonna work. Yeah,
Well, the personal, it can drive traffic,
the
but you're
high
still going to have to
ticket,
show yourself. You're still going to have to show
absolutely.
yourself. Yeah. So
If it's a high ticket,
it really depends
for
on your
sure.
goals. It depends on your
Yeah.
goals.
So
Yeah.
I think that in the end, Nate, this is what being in business means. Yeah, you and I as an entrepreneur, when we started the business, um, we did things that we like. We have to do things that we don't like. That is not our thing, but because that's
Yeah.
what it means to be an entrepreneur. So at the beginning, you don't have funds, you're not making enough profit, so you have to wear all the hats and you have to do things that you're not so passionate about until you increase your sales. We said, yeah, if you want freedom in your life, increase your sales because you can hire people better than you to do your
Mm-hmm.
job um, and make this process easy for you. Okay. Like, for example, to be honest, to be transparent with you, this podcast, I was resisting a lot to it. Yeah, my girlfriend dragged me into this. Say, Harry, we should have a podcast. Meaning you do it first, figure out everything, and after I will do it. That's how. So my girlfriend really had this beautiful idea to have the podcast, and I'm resisting to the whole thing because I'm thinking, wow, I'm gonna be in front of the camera, the post production. What a headache. But you know what? I spoke with my team and I told them, look, guys, let's do a podcast. Let's see how it goes. And my team told a podcast. What is that? I said, I don't know either. Lily, my girlfriend, said that podcast. I don't know. We don't know what we're getting into. And after 3 weeks, they came back and told me, Harry, look, just press the button of record and that's it. Forget about it. Just upload the video. We have all that covered. We distribute all your social media, everything. We go to autopilot. And something I was resisting to it now it's really easy actually. I just need to have a conversation with you that I love entrepreneurs anyway, and I love to speak about business anyway. And my job actually finished here. After we finish this broadcast, I just stop. I upload this video, and there is nothing else. I don't even know what they're doing with it. I know that after a few days, they send me a WhatsApp with, and they send you guys an email with 22 places that this broadcast has been distributed and how they're
Mm-hmm.
doing it. I don't even know the details. I don't want to know. So the whole point is that if you don't want to do something or you're resistant to something, um, you have to make the way to make it easy. But at the end of the day, you have to do it if you want to do business. Otherwise, how you gonna grow? How you gonna grow a business in this DNA that we are right now? If you don't show your face, if you don't have an opinion, if you don't talk about that problem that you're solving to your audience. Now, working with an expert like you would be helpful, right? Because if you can guide the entrepreneur and give maybe a little bit of mentoring, how it's gonna look great in YouTube, maybe and also giving some strategy and saying, look, with that strategy, you can get higher profit margins. Now, all of a sudden, the broadcast become more interesting. Yeah. So YouTube actually start to pay my girlfriend Lily some money. I'm like, these people really is gonna pay us to do this. Now they think got my attention. I didn't even know that they think they're actually gonna pay us to do this thing. So now I got this podcast thing got my attention. So you don't know, but as long as you start to make money, and now something that you resisted to it, maybe it was not as such a bad idea. Sometimes maybe it's now in our head, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's good.
So, so Nate, what are the biggest challenges that you have with your clients and how you overcome the challenge? Or what are the biggest challenge that you have with the client working and how you overcome the challenge?
The biggest challenge
Without
that
mentioning any name, just very general.
sure. That's a great question. The biggest challenge that we help our clients solve is helping their online reputation look a lot better than it is. um, but perhaps they've had one or two bad reviews, but they are a very good business that has multiple happy clients, but those 1 or 2 bad reviews completely mess up their sales process.
And that's the only 2 reviews that everybody see, because the happy clients, they don't write anything, right?
That's right. Yeah, most of the time, that's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
But the biggest thing that we see, that especially if you have a high ticket offer, you need to earn trust, you need to have credibility, and these things are really going to be built up with good content that actually helps people before you ask them to buy. So we have a whole process for that, specifically with YouTube videos and these major media article features. And then what happens is the sales process is simpler, it's easier, because the person going through that sales process, when they show up on a call, they already are pre-sold, they know who you are, they know the problems that you solve. They've been spending time with you without spending time with you, because they've been consuming your content, and that's it's more important than ever. So we do a lot of paid advertising as well, and 5 to 10 years ago, it was a lot easier just to run ads to a cold audience that doesn't know you. If you had a really good offer but hardly any organic following, you could still convert if you had a good sales process. And in fact, we grew a company to 30 million in revenue with cold
Wow.
ads. It was the right time. Their offer was strong. But what happened was the business went out. They went. I can tell you the whole story later, but they ended up going down, and they lacked trust. Their reputation ended up going south. And so, but they didn't have any kind of content. They didn't, and they could have really helped people, but so it was kind of a bummer. But
Oh, wow.
anyway,
So Nate,
yeah,
so they were doing very well, but because they didn't work in the personal brand and in the reputation, kind of
yep,
by far, wow,
yep,
wow, what a story.
yep,
And how many people have this same thing? Because
yep.
um, we nobody talks about this, but then when people want to do business with you, whatever the first thing they're gonna do is type your name in Google.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, my
yep.
goodness, that's what everybody do. They type your name, they want to see who you are, and something had to show up there that makes sense. And this is part
Yep. And
of being in business, right?
yes, and I'll say this, that particular business, whenever you would search for them in the very beginning, there wasn't much showing up. And so that was better than having bad things showing up. But even then, it made the person looking for you feel like, why isn't there more information? So that's where organic content and building that up before you start to launch at scale is going to be so much more helpful. But yeah,
Yeah, but then Nate, like sometimes some businesses are more challenging than the other one. The other day, a colleague was doing an event, right? And somebody told me, well, I'm not gonna attend as speaker because I saw a few bad reviews. I organize events all over the world. Yeah, we don't have bad reviews in our event, but it takes a lot of work. And we do events in front of thousands of people, and if one person is not happy, he will write a bad review. So we had to at our events we had to make sure that everybody has a lot of value. Everybody will get out happy and give us a positive review. Yeah. But when
yep,
you're serving thousands and thousands of people, it's almost impossible. Honestly, I don't know how we are managed that because an event, anything can go. It's involve a lot of teams, a lot of things, and you have a large amount of people coming. And I don't know. Sometimes the AC can be at certain temperatures, cold for one, it's hot for another one. Some people doing the office, the other things. So, uh, how people can mitigate the risk, or what can be done in order to reinforce the brand for those ones that have good experience? Because bottom line, everybody that have a bad experience writes. Everybody that have a good experience don't write, don't say anything. So then when you type the name of the person, only the bad things appear, and it have a hard impact in the reputation.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple things here. I mean, you've got the reality is is as you grow and as you get a bigger audience, there will be negative things that are said about you. But if the overwhelming majority is positive, you need to figure out how to amplify that. So
Mm-hmm.
set up a process to incentivize people to leave you a good review. If you can incentivize folks and a process, maybe building referral programs and things like that, that's really helpful, and you'll get more reviews that way. So you got to ask for them. So I guess that's number one, ask for the good review.
Yeah.
But secondly, having some bigger names speak highly of you is really helpful for that first page of Google or for AI searches or whatever. Having, major media publications or even like a YouTube verification check mark, all that kind of stuff really does help when you're growing a big audience, because then it makes you look credible to those that don't know you yet. But the biggest thing, number three, is going to be the majority of those that personally know you. That's your army, that's your tribe. And if you can make a good personal connection with people at scale, I see you do speaking. So if you can make people feel good and they just really trust you through your content, that's all you really need ultimately to, over time, make that majority speak for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Of course, that, oh my. So, Nate, uh, what are the when people wants to build that brand, that authority, right? That presence online. Again, there are different channels. So if somebody, people think that, well, that you have to become an influencer, you have to become a, and to have 1 million followers, you need to have been doing podcasts all day. And don't really, not really that. You, as an entrepreneur, they need to find the vehicle that works for them. If you like to write, maybe you can write articles on LinkedIn. But to work to find also the platform that works for you. However, there is a challenge there because if most of your clients can be in LinkedIn, so then it's good idea to write articles in LinkedIn. But then what happens is 50% of your clients are in YouTube, and you don't want to show your face. You're gonna be uh, letting out the other 50% of your clients just because you're not comfortable showing doing video. So what can be done?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, what platform should you focus on? I mean, it's certain.
Because there are
This
so
could we could
many, so
oh
many.
we could talk for a long time about these things. But I personally believe if you're doing a high ticket offer, I mean, it depends on your business. We really understand high ticket business opportunity, like investment opportunities, high ticket offers like that. If you're doing that, executive coaching, if you have a coaching program and you're selling it for at least 10K, something like that, you need to be on YouTube and LinkedIn. Those are very important, those two things. The reason we say YouTube is because video content is going to warm up your audience, and they're going to know, like, and trust you better when they can consume it. If you're creating content, writing and videoing content that speaks to them. So I said that in the very beginning. That's the very first step. If you don't know how to speak to your ICP, then your content won't work. But to me, you can focus on YouTube, like with what you're doing, long form content, and then get it used in short form video on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually now pushing
We
video
literally do
more.
that actually.
Yeah, yeah.
We do
Well, link
it with this
and link.
broadcast. We cut it. We put it in LinkedIn. It
Yeah,
goes to other
LinkedIn.
21 platforms. I don't know how my team do that, but they distribute this thing that we have in like 22 different
Oh,
22
there
platforms.
are some great, yeah, there are some great tools that you can use to push it to other platforms, so you don't have to be on all of them manually. But I do believe LinkedIn it's a really good time to be doing video on LinkedIn, because they're seeing how short form content is so helpful. And so um, but to me, you got to have that content somehow. And so YouTube is a great long-term strategy. And then
Mhm.
right now, it does put your video content in front of people. If you can, and search, people search for solutions to their problems, and YouTube is the #2 search engine in the world. So
There
if
you
you
go.
can show up on search different keywords in YouTube, then you'll be discovered there as well. So yeah.
Okay, so why you decide to become an entrepreneur, Nate? Do you have any entrepreneur in your family? Tell us about your
Yeah.
journey. Why marketing?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, yes, I have entrepreneurs in my family. I grew up, my dad and my mom, so they went more of a conventional path, but my grandparents were very strong entrepreneurs, in a few different areas like real estate, farming.
Wow,
Um,
wow.
yeah, and farmers are, I think, some of the greatest entrepreneurs if you've ever done it. I mean, it's obviously changed a lot, but and then I grew up and I grew up in church, and then I played music in my church, and music is what ultimately led me to marketing because
Wow,
I didn't go,
really?
yeah,
That's interesting.
I didn't go the conventional path for college. I moved to Nashville to join, the music business. So songwriting and publishing was what I jumped into, but that was in 1999. And in 1999, 2000, Napster and the internet completely changed the music industry.
I
And so
remember.
that sort of thrust me into learning how to use the internet. I was so fascinated by the internet. And my band I played with, we started to use, things like eventually MySpace, if you remember MySpace.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so that kind of got me into direct to fan marketing, direct to consumer marketing. And so, that was over 20 years ago
Well, the
now, but
music industry
yeah,
is a tough one, yeah. So,
yeah,
but if you are very good at direct to consumer, you might have a, a business there. If you're in the music industry, you can build a brand, and this is
yeah. I mean, that's a great,
someone like Taylor Swift is amazing, what she has done with the brand. My goodness, it's
yeah, you talk about personal branding. I mean,
personal brand.
musicians
Yeah,
and
yeah,
artists are
yeah.
brilliant at that. They have a great product, they have an audience, and now they can they can have a direct to fan relationship with
Mhm.
the internet. So,
But what do you think about the,
yep.
like, for example, in the music industry, let's say, right? Uh, we have seen we have performers like Taylor Swift, for example, with so strong brand that everyone that is young out there is following her. Yeah, I didn't know what she was, to be honest, until my girlfriend told me that she's filling stadiums and charging a lot of money. I'm like, what? And and I'm like, I'm saying, well, now she got my attention. Let me try to hear the music at least to understand. But the truth is, she has very strong personal brand, and she knows how to build that audience. She knows very well how to communicate with that audience. She knows very well how to build that brand, and therefore, she filling stadiums and people paying a lot of money all over the place. I think that more than the Rolling Stones, which I find it incredible that that that. But this is the world that we live today, and then we have on the other side musicians that okay, they are great at their instrument. They love to write songs. They love to play the guitar. But I don't think they don't develop some skills about building the personal brand, and learn a little bit something about direct to consumer, the chance is zero to succeed. Do you think?
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, it's the same
No
principles for
way.
them. Same
I
principles
think
that we're talking about. Yeah.
no way that, and this is the world that we live in today. Who's gonna thought? When I was in university, was no Facebook, there was no mobile phones, and definitely was no such a thing as a personal brand. There was there was no even you have only TV, and then it was a big deal to be in TV, and now with YouTube, everybody can have their own TV.
Yeah.
So things
Yeah.
have changed a lot in such short period of time, and marketing and sales and have been on the core of this um, battle and building the brand. Then, Nate, we have this issue that happened with COVID, and what we find interesting is that in a type of crisis, everybody saw that was a good idea to cut the budget in marketing and sales. Where you're talking about pay-per-click advertising, I'm kind of thinking, guys, do you know that this platform works like bidding? If you have less people, cost less. So if everybody's cutting your budget, the market, and how you gonna get in front of your clients anyway, despite the COVID, they still want your product maybe in some form, maybe deliver it to your house, but they need to see you, you need to get in front of them. So you need some funds to allow you to do that. And everybody thought that was a good idea to cut this marketing expense, when marketing is actually an investment. When, when, when you are in business, you pay $2, let's say, to get in front of that person. That person, you have a very good offer. They bought the product for 20, whatever, and then you pay your operation, whatever, then you keep the profit. So, but if you remove the $2 that is getting you in front of that person, anyway, just to keep it simple, how the whole thing will continue. And actually, it's not costing you $2 anymore. Now it's costing you 20 pence.
Mm.
So, Nate, why do you think that everybody was behaving like this in COVID, and why even big businesses and small businesses, everybody did? Everybody have this mindset that, well, marketing is just a cost, and when things goes south,
Yeah.
let's cut costs and let's stop from marketing. Where this mindset came from? Does it have any sense? It makes sense. So
No, I mean, I know that. I do remember
you
very
remember,
clearly
yeah,
that. I mean, it was
that's
just, I think
exactly
there
what
was,
happened. Yeah.
yeah, I just think there was so much uncertainty and no one really knew what was happening. But then I think some of the smart ones understood that, okay, like for example, if I had an Amazon drop shipping business or an Amazon product or something like that, or I was selling, wholesale products on Amazon brand names, that was a perfect time to do it. You're not going to want to cut back because everyone was buying things from home, and Amazon's stock
Mhm.
went through the roof during COVID. So
Wow.
I think it started to kind of that started to happen, but I think especially in the early part of COVID, people were just scared. They were just scared. So
But then the point of the story and the lesson is, when it's uncertainty on the market and you are scared, think about when you have a business where what is really your cost, okay? Because people that they will buy your product in one form, they will keep buying. You like burgers and you cannot go to McDonald's, well, you might send the McDonald's to the house of the people, right? And so maybe it was time for different marketing approach. It was time for pivot. Uh, but I think it was a great opportunity, and a lot of people capitalized on this. And unfortunately, the majority got scared, and took them longer to actually adapt to the drastic change.
yeah,
So I think that we have a big lesson here as well, that when uncertainty. So in your own experience, Nate, when this situation happened, what happened with your portfolio of clients? They it reduced, or you managed to communicate effectively that, guys, look, I know that there is uncertainty, but there is a big room here for profitability, and I have this plan, and let me work with you guys to help you pivot. Or all of a sudden you have uh, some of your clients telling you, Nate, that's it. We are cutting until we call you in 3 months, 6 months to see what happened. But for the moment, we know we are cutting these expenses. So what was your experience in uncertain times and how you navigate this challenge?
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, we actually saw we didn't see what you're saying for us because
Oh, wow.
our
Congratulations.
well
That was amazing.
because our clients are online businesses, and so they most of them saw the opportunity, and of course
You were more busy
everyone
than ever. Yeah.
right everyone who was at home was seeing, oh, I need to be online. So then of course online business helpers like me, I'm an online business helper, right? uh,
Mhm.
we were busy, so we were very busy. But
Wow.
yeah,
Glad to
so
hear.
yeah, no, I think that the local businesses, the ones who had to shut down, the challenges were still there. I did have one or two local business clients, some friends of mine,
Hmm.
and it was more about helping them navigate. I don't know if you're familiar, if you remember I forget what it was called, where you could get some of the money from the government. I forget what it was called. It was basically a kind of like a loan, an
Hmm.
SBA
Hmm.
loan,
Hmm.
and all of that, just helping some of those guys navigate that was interesting. But we didn't really have a lot of that. I mean, there were obviously some fears and concerns and questions, but they had processes in place and they saw so many people coming wanting to learn how to do business online. Because, like, for example, we had a client who was a real estate coach. They had a coaching program for real estate people that wanted to join into a program that they didn't have the experience in real estate. They didn't know how to do it. So they wanted to join his coaching program to learn how to do it to make money. So that's a biz op coaching thing. And so they were just growing like crazy.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So because everybody was trying to figure out how to make money from home. So yeah. And then there were a lot of people that were getting money from all the government stuff, and so they were trying to spend it, on the right things. So
So, Nate, if somebody is in love with this conversation and want to know more about what you do, guys, and how can you help them, how people can find you, how this process works, what specific type of entrepreneur you help with, can you share this with us?
absolutely, I think just pointing them to my website, it's tellus.co, tellus.co. That's the best place. We have a lot of blog posts. We have all of our services are listed there, and they can book a call with us if they're curious to learn more about how to get started. We don't do a lot of coaching for beginners, but we can help because our main offers are for existing online businesses. But we certainly can help those that are trying to get started just from reading our content, videos, and all of that. So tellus.co.
Paperclip, Nate, when Paperclip started, I was one of the biggest, or I am, yeah, one of the biggest fan of this paperclip thing. It doesn't matter if it's Facebook, YouTube, you name it. We have built events all over the world using paperclip advertising. Um, because the beauty of this is that you can measure exactly with the laser print in front of who you want to be, and this is very powerful because you know how much exactly it's costing you to get in front of that client, and then you can see how many they convert and how many sales can you make. However, Nate has become really expensive. I think because everybody is jumping into this and uh, and after COVID, have become really expensive. I think because everybody started to use it again. So, what future do you see to the pay-per-click advertising? Do you think that still there is some strategy that we can get in front of the clients or in front of our prospect or clients in a cost-effective way, or we need to keep bidding to get in front of the clients, and then the most powerful people they have bigger budgets, so they can pay more for certain keywords and certain things,
Yep.
and then whatever is small. When this thing started, I remember it was the other way around. It was us, the little guys, we were making a killer with this paperclip thing because it was cheap, and we
Yep.
could sell the online, and it was amazing. Which is now, now, for example, if you have a high ticket product, it makes
Hmm.
sense, because if you're selling a coaching program for 10K, well, you easily can invest 1,000 or 2,000 to get in front of that client.
Yep.
Uh,
That's right.
but so is it work for all the pros, this pay-per-click, if it's still an opportunity for all the business out there, or you really need to be careful what type of business you want to advertise online in order to be profitable, or maybe you need to find other ways of advertising? What's your point of view on this pay-per-click thing that has evolved a lot and has become really expensive? We spend thousands and thousands in advertising in pay-per-click, so we know when was good, when is so, and it's my understanding that now is expensive. You need to go there heavyweight with exactly what you described, a high ticket program. Otherwise, it's very difficult, right?
Correct. Ad costs are going to keep increasing. It's not going to go down.
Everybody's
But
jumping into this, right?
yeah, but I think it's those that understand how to put together really good offers, very good copywriting, and know how to speak to their audience. If you can
Mm-hmm.
do that, you'll cut through noise. And then there are some technical things to get your costs down. Like, you know, it depends on the business, but there are just better places to advertise. I think the fortune is in the follow-up. So if you don't have a good
I
sales
agree.
system, then that's not good. But like an email list and all of that, that's not going away. You're going to have to still have that, a newsletter or something like that. But yeah, the ones that know how to truly advertise will keep winning in the auction, and those that don't know how to advertise will just burn their money and lose, and they'll quit, and they'll say advertising doesn't work. Advertising has always been the same. You have to know how to speak to the person that you are wanting to sell to. You have to have psychology understanding. You have to have skills with copywriting. None of that's changed. The technical things have changed, yes, all of that, and there's more people trying to get into it. But all of those experts who know how to really advertise are going to win, and they'll keep winning. But I think organic content is advertising. It's just it depends on where you're at in the funnel.
Absolutely.
There's direct response advertising.
100%.
There's awareness and reach advertising. There's lots of different kinds of advertising. But when you create content, we're advertising right now. This is advertising. But it's a different type. So you have to understand how to speak to people. If you don't know how to do that, then you're going to lose. So
Thank you so much, Nate. And for all of you following this broadcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable: How Brave Entrepreneurs like Nate break the wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.